Hi, this is Christy Matthews with ChristyMatthewsOnline.com and ChristyJMatthews.com. It's a beautiful day here in Oakley, California. I hope that you're having a great day. Recently, I watched an interview with a gentleman named David Meltzer, and he was the top agent at the Lee Steinberg Sports Agency. And if you're not familiar with what that agency is, or even who David Meltzer is, the sports agency is the #1 sports agency that has helped NFL players, NBA players, all the big guru players out there that you've seen generally have gone through the Lee Steinberg Sports Agency. It is the go-to place for sports professionals. So David Meltzer, at a very young age, he has a law degree. He came out of college, went to work for the sports agency, and became a millionaire in a very short period of time. Very young man. And over time, he was the go-to guy. He was the guy that made things happen for his clients, and extremely filthy rich, okay? And he had his home in Rancho Santa Fe, and he ended up losing it all. Things just got so bigger and bigger for him that he eventually lost control of it, lost it all. And the thing that knocked him down to a point to where he was feeling guilt and shame beyond his wildest imagination is when he had to move his mother out of her home in Rancho Santa Fe because he could no longer support her. So those were the tipping points for him, and it was such a moving interview that I wanted to unpack this for you and share some of the takeaways that I got from it. So his title was Why Giving Everything Away Will Make You Rich. And what that means is that for him is that his ego got so big that, and he knew he was unhappy. He knew that he was inferior. He knew that he didn't feel worthy. And yet he was so wildly successful. And on the outside, he showed this confidence. And when he shared this with other people, these feelings of inadequacy that he had, people were shocked because that's not how he portrayed himself. But that was his ego, and that's what he was dealing with on the inside. And eventually, like I said, he just eventually lost it all and had to file bankruptcy. And that's where all of the gifts started to come about and made a major change in his life. And I can tell you, he will say that he's a very happy man now. So here are some of the things that he went away, that he shared. First takeaway is find ways to serve others. Stay in a place of giving and faith and never expect anything in return. So when you're just out there giving and you're giving because it feels good to you, that will raise your vibrational energy and allows you to attract more things that make you feel good. There's one thing that I like to participate in that Ray Higdon coined, Wealth Wednesday. But a lot of us do these type of things anyway, but it may not be on Wednesday. It's just doing nice things for other people. One of the things that I've been doing for 20 some odd years is when I go over the bridge, I pay for the person behind me. It makes me feel good. And it makes me feel good to see the person drive along, give me a wave, a hat tip or whatever, and have a big smile on their face and they're saying thank you, because I know that that made their day. It was such a random thing. I don't know who that person was, but it made me feel good that I touched them. And it's just a way of paying things forward. And those things do come back to you. And believe it or not, folks, I've had the bridge paid for me one time over all the 20 years. So it was good when that had happened. The feeling of failure and shame are the toughest emotions in life. I believe are the most toughest emotions in life to deal with. And David also agrees with that as well. Those were the two things that he pointed out. Can you think of a time when you felt that you had failed so miserably and felt so shameful for it? I know I've shared that with you on past videos about the total financial collapse that happened in our life, I don't know, going on about 14 years now. And that had everything to do with some things just getting out of balance in life, starting with health and eventually led to financial collapse. But there was a rebuild and a remaking and a place to where I've found myself to be extremely happy, much happier than I was back then. So, and David has mentioned that same thing. After having all the millions of dollars that he had, he is just so much happier now. He doesn't have all the wealth that he had then. He's wildly successful now, but did not have all of the items and material wealth that he had back then, but he could tell you he's extremely happy. One of the things that his wife had told him that was happening with all of his success is that the one thing that she wanted from him was for him to pay attention. And when she said that to him, he had said, "What do you mean? I give you everything you want. You have a Lamborghini." And she had to stop him and say, "You don't understand. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't need any of that stuff. But what I want from you is to pay attention to the things that matter to me." See, what was happening is that he was paying attention, but he was deciding on the things that mattered, that were important to her. He decided instead of listening to her and understanding what was important to her. And really what she wanted was him to be present. And that was all him being in his ego, just trying to go out and provide. Now, I'm not trying to portray him as being an a-hole or being a bad provider or a control freak. No, that's not what it was. It's just that there was just something between the relationship, that void, because he was unable to connect with what was important to her. Surround yourself with the right people. Oftentimes we surround ourselves with people that make us feel comfortable. They keep us in our comfort zone. Typically, the 5 closest people that we hang out with resemble our own lifestyle. So if we want to get moving on into building our business and getting to the next level, we need to seek out being around the right people who can help us just by being around them and being in their presence, that will help make changes within us. It might be them giving us different perspective on things to think about, how we might show up in a meeting, how we might dress, how we might behave for various functions and events. Always check your value. Are you always feeling like you need to be right? Do you feel superior? Do you feel inferior? Do you feel guilt? Do you feel shame? Do you feel as though you're not good enough? Well, folks, that's all our ego. And once those feelings are coming up, remember to check it and know that it's your ego that's talking. Those are the things, your ego tries to protect you. And so try to recognize that and know that it's your ego and plunge right through it. Don't be a self-centered a-hole, okay? Four values to live by. These were gifts that his mother gave him that took him some time to figure out that they really were gifts, and they are things that he has centered his life around, and it has served him very well. And first is to give gratitude. Most of the thought leaders and big gurus out there all talk about gratitude. Tony Robbins often says, start your day with the things that you're grateful for. When he's out there exercising, he'll say, I'm grateful for my family. He starts with the circle of those who are closest to him. I'm thankful to God. I'm thankful for my wife or my husband. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my nieces, my nephews. I'm thankful for my animals. I'm thankful for my home. And start circling out on those things that are important to you and things that you're grateful for. You may not feel as though there's anything you're grateful for, but I guarantee you that there is. Just being grateful to God, being grateful for being able to wake up in the morning and get up out of bed, being able to go have a meal, have the clothes on your back. Those are all things that you can be grateful for. And being grateful are the things that help shape you today and will raise your vibrational energy. Have empathy. Be forgiving towards you and others. More important, forgive yourself. Oftentimes we're so hard on ourselves. So forgive yourself. Accountability. Ooh, this one's huge. Be accountable for your behavior and your choices. Avoid shame, blame, and justifications, and never live below the line. Live in accountability. My mother-in-law used to say, never lower your standards down to others' low standards. Be accountable for your behavior. It's very, very important. So 2 questions to ask yourself is what did I do to attract this in my life? And what am I supposed to learn from it? As many things in our life, those 2 things will give us the answers as to why things happened the way they did. I know with my financial collapse that happened many years ago, I know exactly how it happened and the decisions I made and the behavior I did that contributed to that. And we can all figure that out. Just be accountable to that, own that, and move on. Effective communication. Connect, and what this means is that connect with what inspires you. Ask big. I mean, ask mega big, hairy, audacious questions. The universe doesn't know size, so the universe doesn't know whether it's $100 bill, $1,000 bill, or $100,000 bill. It doesn't. So ask big. Do as many good deeds as you can, and when the void between giving and serving is too wide, ask big. And here are the ways to ask. Think subconsciously. Repeat it over and over and over again. And these thoughts create new neural connections, and those new neural connections will help you change your physical energy that you put out to the world, which makes you more attractive. Tell everybody what you're asking for. It might be, I'm asking to serve 350,000 people in the next 5 years on ways to change their life. So you might be at 1 right now, but how do you get to 350? Keep saying it. And then use your physical energy, touch it. Let your DNA be all over the things that you're touching. Another thing that's very important here is be more interested than interesting. How many times do we get into a social situation and we're doing all the talking and we're not doing the listening? So when you show that you're more interested in the person that you're interacting with than you being interesting to that person, things will change. And here's another way on how to be more interested. It's kind of a different perspective, is don't zero out your life by taking days off. I'm thinking of an example right now where people have started a ketogenic diet, for instance, and they say, well, I'm going to have a cheat day. Well, if you know anything about ketogenic dieting, it's about putting your body into a different type of energy source, going into ketosis and running on ketones rather than running on glucose. Now, you just can't cheat and get yourself in and out of ketosis without it having an effect on your ability to diet or change your body. So when you go ahead and be more interested than interesting, truly be interested in yourself by not taking days off. Now, I'm not saying not to take break days, okay? Don't take days off in the things that you're trying to work on. For example, if you're working on yourself 6 days a week and you take that 7th day off, you're losing 4 days a month, maybe 5, depending on how the calendar runs. So that means you're working 25 or 26 days a month on yourself when you could be working 30 or 31 days a month. And then you times that by 12 months. Think about how many days that you've actually lost. And that equates to about 1/3 of a year, folks, just taking that 1 day off a week. So work on something, work on yourself every day. Now, you may have 10 minutes to work on something when other days you may have hours. Give yourself that 10 minutes. Never lose the momentum. It's like trying to push, okay, let's say you're trying to push a car that's stalled and you're trying to get it off the roadway. Isn't it a lot easier to push a car that's already in motion than to try to go ahead and get it started? You know, you get behind it and you're muscling behind it, using all your muscles, and you're going, hey, I can't do this, I need some help. And some people come over and they help you and they push, right? And then finally, the car gets moving and they'll say, hey, jump in and steer this thing. Okay, we've all experienced that, I believe. Anyway, I know I have a couple of times in my past. So never take the day off. Don't lose the momentum. It's always easier to keep things in motion than to start things from no motion. So 2 simple rules for productivity and accountability is to be a student of your calendar. Study your calendar. This one was huge. Think about the people that you're meeting, okay? And think about what you're going to want to accomplish from that meeting. Now, I know many of us may do that in some sort of intuitive way, but do it with purpose. Do it. I'll give you an example that David gave. He was, I see Rosie over there. Come here, honey. He was speaking with Tom Ballou, and really what he wanted from Tom, and he knew that he could have an online meeting or an in-person meeting, but it was really important to David to have a signed autograph from Tom so that David could put that into his studio. So he looked forward to that meeting and says, well, I really need to meet in person with Tom so that I can get the signed autograph. So think ahead and study that calendar and think about what you are trying to gain and get the most value out of the meetings that you have and what's contained in your calendar. And remember, you're also providing value as well. Think about what you're going to ask that person and think about what you can offer that person in return. Manifesting, second thing is do it now. Ask yourself, can I do this task now? David Allen runs an organization called Getting Things Done. And one of the things that his research has shown that is a 2-minute rule. If you touch something and you can complete this task within 2 minutes or less, then you should do it now. If it's going to take longer than that, oftentimes you should put it in some sort of funneling system to where you're more organized to work on those tasks. So David says do it now, because most of the time the things that 80% of the things that we touch can be done now. Now, I'm not saying to go run willy-nilly. It all depends on the things that you are doing in your daily mode of operation. And his mode of operation, because it was such a people business, a contact business, picking up the phone, sending a contact through his email, whatever the case is, it generally was a bunch of small tasks that took very little time. And so he just got it done. Also, if you don't do things right now and you put them off to another time, and it is a very important thing, you may have to go backtrack and try to regain the intention that you had with that do it now thought in the first place. So think about that. Ego. We got to get out of our ego. Get out of our own freaking way. We are oftentimes putting up walls and saying, I'm not ready for this, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough experience. When you understand ego and time, you can have faith to be of service. So ego is that voice that's inside of you. It is fear, guilt, and anxiety, and those are needy emotions. We want to really try to push those away and work through them. And ego is the #1 thing that's getting in the way of what you want. Just remember that. It's the coulda, woulda, shouldas. It's the shame. It's the not feeling good enough. They're keeping you from getting what you want in life. So the technique he recommends is to cancel, clear, and connect. Work towards the things that make you happy and keep what makes you happy and move on from the other things. Now, in relationships that are closest to him, and particularly with his mother, he felt so much shame because he had to move his mother out of her home. This is one thing that he seeked the most, I'm going to say, approval from. And so what he recommends is when someone is so important to you, ask questions of them. And so what he had asked of his mother was, Mom, what do you want from me? What is it that's really important to you that I give you? And her answers surprised him, and it might surprise you too, is that her answer is that he shows her that he loves her, and two, and that he appreciates her. So the things that he does, because he travels quite a bit, is that often on a daily basis, he either talks, texts, or emails her and lets her know that he loves her and he's thinking of her. Because one of the things that he knew by getting so big, and remember the pay attention comment that his wife had made, is that he was deciding what was important to others in his life rather than him understanding what was important to them. I'm working on feeling good around you is a statement that was made to him. And it's a statement that he learned to apply to other things. I'm working on feeling good being around you. So having energy of being stupid but projecting smarter, being smarter than everyone else, that's ego. Backward insecurity, overselling, back-end selling, lies, manipulation are things that he proved to himself that he was smart enough. So he had to tell himself, I'm working good on being good around you. He was around having success, and what he had to do was to become humble and be accountable for the bankruptcy. He realized that he attracted the bankruptcy to him, and he surrounded himself with the wrong ideas and the wrong people, and that's why the bankruptcy happened. He gave some suggestions for being a great negotiator, and this is huge because especially to my real estate friends and those who are in other types of businesses that require negotiation skills, this is a huge one for you. So being a great negotiator requires you being more interested than interesting. And he gave some good questions for flushing out some information from people. So he says explore these 4 questions during the negotiation process. What are the reasons you want what you want? Number 2, what impact will it have? Number 3, what capability do you have, and what do you need to have, and what do you have? What do you want to have? And 4, align the answers with those questions, the first 3 questions, with the reason why I want the deal. What are my reasons and impact and capabilities in this deal, and see if they match up with each other. See, there's 3 reasons. People buy on emotions, so address the emotions with an open nature. Ask and attract, in person and on the phone. For example, like I gave you earlier, when David chose to meet with Tom, there was a reason why. And so he asked Tom if he could meet in person, and that attracted a meeting. And then, of course, he got his autograph. And by asking what they want, the laws of nature automatically will have them ask you what you want. And this is where the spirit of negotiation is. It's always should be a win-win scenario. Win-win by far is the most gratifying negotiations that you can have. Manifesting. Manifesting is commanding, which means working with. So that means you've got to take action. This is a great line. You cannot sit being high on your mom's couch and manifest Publishing Clearinghouse to come to your house. It isn't going to happen. That's not how manifesting works. You've got to go out and put action towards that big, hairy, audacious goal that you've created for yourself. So dream by focusing and taking action. And then planning. Planning is hard, and but it's so important, and it's important to be honest with ourselves in the planning process. There's a gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And in the planning process, you want to go attain those skills that are needed to close the gap. So you may have to ask, what skills are those? How to identify them? And the answer is to find the direct path to revenue to stay in business. Now, like I said, there's a bunch of steps in there, and you're writing them all down and figure out what is it that I need to do. But the most important step within all of that is to find the direct path to gaining revenue. Because if you don't have revenue, you can't stay in business. So the goal is to stay in business and gain the revenue. Lastly, a couple last points. There's enough in this universe for everyone. So let's say that you knew before you started your entrepreneurial adventure that it was going to take 25 failures before you had success. So when you hit failure number 1, how would you feel about it, knowing you had 25 ahead of you? Would you feel like, cool, I hit number 1, I've got 24 to go? See, this is how entrepreneurship is. There's going to be a bunch of failures before you have the success. So just know that there might be a number of failures ahead of you. Now, what happens if you were told there are 25? Now, we're never given a number, but just for an example. Let's say 25 comes and you have another failure. Are you going to up and quit and say, hey, this stuff doesn't work? No, you just keep at it. Just always look at being in revenue so that you can stay in business and keep working at it, because of the failure will definitely turn to success. Was it the author Canfield? Can't remember his first name offhand. I'm on the spot right now. But he wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. His book was presented over 200 times before it was finally published. So Jack Canfield, that's his name. So just remember, never give up. Jack Canfield believed so much in his work. Eventually he found the right publisher who believed in his work as well, and we all know the success that he's attained from that. The only reason why you end up out of business is because you run out of money. So stay in business. And then lastly, enjoy the pursuit of your potential. Don't let age be your resistance. Colonel Sanders, KFC, he made his, I believe he was 70 years old before he finally had his secret recipe turn into a franchise that just made him extraordinary amounts of money. He never gave up on his dream. He knew he had a winner. He just needed to find the right opportunity, the right place for it. And he just never gave up, and he didn't let age stop him. So I hope that you got some value from today's video. If you did, would you give me a thumbs up? Let me know in the comments below. And if there's any way that I might be able to help you, just reach out to me. I have free resources that are available at ChristyMatthewsOnline.com, also at ChristyJMatthews.com. And I'll see you next time. Hope that you have a great day. Bye now.